I am Suzanne Barron, founder of Christ is Illuminati. It's taken me a really long time to get through the book of Matthew. I'm doing so much. Right now, I'm currently rewriting my book, The Link Between. I'm going through my older videos, picking at them. At one point, I had taken every single video I had created completely unlisted, and I have been picking through them individually, one by one, changing like the descriptions, the tags, and just trying to make them more SEO compatible. I guess I don't really know what to say. Um, in my article email that I sent out, it's called Existential Threat. I said that I have literally taught myself everything that I know about marketing. I have taught myself. And it's been a struggle. It's been a big struggle. Plus, learning marketing, you are told to have a good niche. Like a niche is like if you're gonna sell funky socks. Don't sell funky socks plus hats. If your niche is funky socks, stick to the funky socks. So my niche is like a problem. I've even had people like on Facebook hit me up like, "Hey, we can help you." Not necessarily because my niche is always going to be a problem. Christ is Illuminati. That's a problem. People don't accept that when they first hear it. They have to understand my ministry. They have to actually take the time to investigate what that means before they will understand that Christ is Illuminati. He is the light of each man that comes into this world. So, if you do happen to see one of my older videos, please try to understand that I have learned a lot over the last 3 years. Um, I've had highs and lows. I've had days where I was trying to fight to even stay inside this room, to even have a shelter while trying to preach a ministry. Those things show. I get exhausted. I have to force myself to take a break. Um, those things begin to show. I'm the only one preaching this message, and that's the truth. So please keep that in mind, and understand that I'm growing still. I am a sinner. I've said this 100,000 times, okay? There's a lot of room to grow. I think I even put that on my like the introduction video for my YouTube page. I felt like I needed to put one out there. I think I even said that. Like, I understand there is room to grow with me. But he gave me a message, and I am just fighting to get it out there. I could use your support. Please share the videos. Do not be lazy. You're not going to get everything in one video. Um, Purchase a t-shirt because that will help me a lot. I'm not just saying it for the funds, but I'm saying like I've got subscriptions and stuff that I have to pay for to keep this ministry going. And t-shirts will raise awareness. I wish I could afford to purchase my own t-shirts so that I can wear them on the video, but I can't even afford my own t-shirts. That's where I'm at. It's christisilluminati.com. Right now I want to pick up on Matthew 22. I think you said 25 or 28 chapters. I think somewhere in the 20s, 26, 27. So I still got a minute. Hopefully get it done sooner than I want to. Um Chapter 22, verse 1. Jesus spoke to him again in parable, saying, "The kingdom of heaven is like a king who prepared a wedding banquet for his son. He sent his servants to those who had been invited to the banquet to tell them to come, but they refused to come. Then he sent some more servants and said, 'Tell those who have been invited, I have prepared my dinner. My oxen and my fattened cattle have been butchered, and everything is ready. Come to the wedding banquet.'" Now, for those who don't understand scripture, who don't read the Bible, to those people who are like that I'm trying to reach those people as well. You don't pick up your Bible. What is so important about this fattened cattle? Because it's the best one. It is the best one. The fattened calf, that's the best one you have. That's like your choice meat. That's like the wine in the wine cooler that's been brewing for 40 years. That's the one you're picking. It's that important. It's a big deal. Get the fat one. Let's get that one. Let's pour out that 60-year-old bottle of wine. That is how important this is. But they paid no attention and went off. One to his field, another to his business. The rest seized the servants, mistreated them, and killed them. The king was enraged. He sent his army and destroyed those murderers and burned their cities. Went off one to his field, to another's business. Mistreated them and killed them. Okay? Then he said to his servants, the wedding banquet is ready, but those I had invited did not deserve to come. They were aggressive. They were caught up in sin. They didn't deserve to be there. So go to the street corners and invite the banquet anyone you can find. So this is everyone. Just tell them all to come. I have this party and nobody's here. Everyone is invited. I don't care who you are. So the servants went out into the streets and gathered all the people they could find, the bad as well as the good, and the wedding hall was filled with guests. Now, what does this mean? This means we are all invited. All of us are invited to this wedding banquet. Every single one of us. The ones who are sinners and the ones who are not. But when the king came in to see the guests, he noticed a man there who was not wearing wedding clothes. And he asked, how did you get in here without wedding clothes, friends? The man was speechless. Then the king told the attendants, tie him hand and foot and throw him outside into the darkness, where there will be weeping and gnashing of teeth. For many were invited, but few were chosen. I will have to admit this one's a little difficult to me, but I understand it. Those who are invited, I want you to look in the world today. Who would you think would be the ones who are invited originally? You would think those who are sitting in the church. Because this is God's wedding, right? This is his son's wedding, right? And it would be those who are sitting in the church. That would be the ones that you would assume, right? But he invited them, and they did not do what they were supposed to. They were actually very aggressive, and they killed those who sent for them, right? And then he says it doesn't matter. Forget those, right? Forget them, right? He was enraged. His armies destroyed those murderers and burned the cities. So those sitting in the church, because that's who you would assume were the ones that are invited. They were the ones who are invited. This is where I say it's hard because I'm going to offend somebody. When you're looking at the story, the ones who are invited in our world today, who would you assume that would be? You would assume that would be the Christians. The Christians are invited. But they're murderers, okay? And so then he says, it doesn't matter. Everyone else is invited. Just everyone. Everyone's invited, right? But then there's this one person, like we're all happy, okay, we can go, but he was not ready. He was not looking to it. And he was thrown out and he was sent away. And he was put to where there would be weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now this is hard for me to say this because sometimes I struggle with my wording. It doesn't mean I don't understand it. And I'm going to offend somebody. I'm going to offend the Christians in this manner. But the Christians are out. That's Revelation 3. They're out. Not necessarily. I'm not saying like they don't have a chance. I'm not saying that. I'm trying to use this analogy. But there's the one who was unprepared. Okay, he was sent away to the weeping and gnashing of teeth. Now I want you to know this. I can hear things. The computers will chatter. I have audio recording of demonic spirits. I have that. Like I have it. You will be able to hear it yourself. A lot of people don't want to go looking at it. I understand. So I put a lot of it out there. But it is out there. And I do have it on YouTube. And you're welcome to look at it and listen to it. And it sounds pretty bad. That's the weeping and gnashing of teeth. It's really rough in that other side. That's hell. Hell is real. And I have recordings of it. It's real. And if you're not the one dressed and ready and prepared, that's going to be you. And he's not talking about the Christians in this story because they were the ones who were pushed out. Right now he's calling on everyone else. He's calling on everyone. I'm not saying the Christians aren't invited. I'm trying to make an analogy that we can understand. If you're not ready, if you're not prepared to be at this wedding banquet, you will be thrown into that. And it's not pretty. I want you to listen to it because that's real. When you hear it, you should go, wow, hell is real. That doesn't sound very friendly. I don't want to go there. That should make you shake in your shoes. Then the Pharisees went out, this is verse 15, and laid plans to trap him in his words. So they're like not swindling, conspiracy, like not conspiracy, entrapment. Entrapment, I guess is what. They sent their disciples to him along with the Herodians. Teacher, they said, we know that you are a man of integrity. So they're testing him. And that you teach the way of God in accordance with the truth. Well, if you know this, you aren't swayed by others because you pay no attention to who they are. Tell us then, what is your opinion? Is it right to pay the imperial tax to Caesar or not? So they are testing him. Should we pay the taxes? Should we pay the taxes? But Jesus, knowing their evil thoughts, said, you hypocrites, why are you trying to trap me? Now, it's not clear. It's not clear here, but Jesus knew the thoughts of other people. Jesus knew the thoughts. You have schizophrenic patients that are hearing thoughts of other people. They believe it's the other people. I have said this 1,000 times. I have heard instructions given to my neighbor Donovan, and then 5 minutes later I watched him act it out. And I was so scared by that. Who's telling you to do these things? What are you doing? It was like gang stalking, targeted individuals. I was going through that, right? I thought they were watching me. Schizophrenia, right? Paranoid schizophrenia, right? But I heard instructions given to my neighbor, and then I watched him act it out. You can't unsee that. It wasn't I watched him act it out and then I thought. I heard it before I watched him act it out. You cannot unsee those things. You cannot unsee them. So there's a verse where it says Satan had entered into Judas Iscariot, entered into him. And so you can imagine Satan entered in and made all kind of whispering thoughts, one thing. Whisper, thought. Is it a whisper or a thought? It's a whisper and a thought because that whisper becomes a thought. It is a thought that Judas Iscariot had to betray Jesus, but it was really Satan whispering in him. Whispering, telling him what to do, a spirit talking to him. Take each thought captive, make it obey Christ. It's not you who's thinking. Each thought you have is not really of your own. It's of a spirit. And Jesus could hear those thoughts that were inside of the other people. That's telepathy. But he wasn't hearing the thoughts of the person. He was hearing the thoughts of the spirit in that person. The Legion, my name is Legion, for we are many. He was speaking to that spirit inside of that man in Mark 5. Held a conversation with the spirit inside of a man. The spirit was inside of the man. And he spoke to it and it responded. He heard that conversation. So you can assume that's probably what's happening here. You hypocrites, why are you trying to trap me? That's how he knew. He had the ability to have telepathy. Schizophrenic patients believe they have telepathy. Artificial intelligence, since April of 2023, it's been proven that she is capable of telepathy. They will hook a human up to a machine, and that machine can read that person's thoughts. That's what's happening in our world today. It's been scientifically proven. Artificial telepathy. Google it. How is that possible? She's God. False God. The man of sin. He's the master of those who are weeping and gnashing their teeth. She's the beast, the one we've been warned about our entire lives. Show me a coin used for paying the tax. They brought him a denarius, and he asked them, whose image is on this, and whose inscription? Caesar's, they replied. Then he said, so give back to Caesar what belongs to Caesar, and to God what is God's. When they heard this, they were amazed, so they left him and went away. So yeah, we should pay our taxes. Pay what's due, because it's right. And there's another verse somewhere where he says, how does he say it? He said, is the son, like when Caesar's son doesn't have to pay taxes. He made an analogy that's similar to this understanding. I'd have to find it. He's like, when you are the master's son, you don't have to pay taxes. Everybody else does. But he still said pay the tax anyways, because he was the son of God. He didn't have to pay the tax. But he said just pay it anyways, so that you don't offend anyone. Pay it anyways. That's where Paul was like, if eating meat's going to cause my brother to stumble, I'd rather not eat meat. Don't cause somebody to stumble. That same day, the Sadducees, who say there is no resurrection, came to him with a question. Teacher, they said, Moses told us that if a man dies without having children, his brother must marry the widow and raise up offspring for him. Now there were 7 brothers among us. The first one married and died, and since he had no children, he left his wife to his brother. The same thing happened to the second and the third brother, right on down to the 7th. Finally, the woman died. Now then, at the resurrections, whose wife will she be of the 7, since all of them were married? Jesus replied, you are in error, because you do not know the scriptures or the power of God. At the resurrection, people will neither marry nor be given in marriage. They will be like the angels in heaven. But about the resurrection of the dead, what have you not read what God said to you? I am the God of Abraham, the God of Isaac, the God of Jacob. He is not the God of the dead, but of the living. Of the living, those who are alive in the spirit. When the crowds heard this, they were astonished at his teaching. Hearing that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees and Pharisees got stumbling. Hearing that Jesus had silenced the Sadducees, the Pharisees got together. One of them had an expert in the law, tested him with this question, Teacher, which is the greatest commandment of the law? Jesus replied, love the Lord your God with all of your heart and with all your soul and with all your mind. For this is the first and greatest commandment, and the second is like, love your neighbor as yourself. All the law of the prophets hang on these 2 commandments. Love. The greatest is love. 2 Corinthians chapter 13. You ask a sinner in the world today, what is love? Emotion or an action? They're going to say emotion. It's not emotion at all. Love is what you do and what you're willing to do for someone. 2 Corinthians 13. There's no action in that verse, in those verses at all. And see, the sinners don't know that. They're not taught how to love. I tried to remember to put it into this. What is love? I did one. I didn't know what love was. Somebody taught me what love is. You're actually taught love. Love is taught to you. And these sinners out here, they're not taught love. Love is patient. Love is kind. Love does not envy. It is not proud. It does not dishonor others. It is not self-seeking. It is not eagerly angered. It keeps no record of wrong. Love does not delight in evil, but it rejoices in the truth. It always protects, always trusts, always hopes, always perseveres. Love never fails. None of that had anything to do with an emotion. In no way. It's all action. They'll say in the sinner's world, I fell out of love, so I got a divorce. You fell out of love, you got a divorce? Ask somebody who's been married 40, 50 years. It's hard work, isn't it? Not that I would know. But they all say it. I've spoken to a lot of them. Verse 41, chapter 22, 41. While the Pharisees were gathered together, Jesus asked them, what do you think about the Messiah? Whose son is he? The son of David, they replied. He said to them, how is it that David speaking by the Spirit, calls him Lord. For he says, "The Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand until I put your enemies under your feet." If then David calls him Lord, how can he be his son? No one could say a word in reply, and from that day on, no one dared to ask him any more questions. This is another difficult one. It's not this hard. It's just hard to say. So David, okay, what do you think of the Messiah? Whose son is he? So David is here, and then the Messiah is his son. The Messiah is David's son, right? But David calls the son Lord. Christ is the Messiah, right? We're understanding that Jesus is the Messiah here. Jesus is Christ, a subliminal God. So how is it that David called his own son Lord? Lord, the Lord said to my Lord, sit at my right hand. That's what he's trying to say. If then David calls him Lord, how then can he be the son? No one could say a word in reply, and from that day on, no one dared to ask him any more questions. How could the Messiah be the son of David if David himself called him Lord? You don't call your own son Lord. I probably could have done better. I'm doing a lot right now. Thank you.